Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Bristol once again, which is a really good craft beer city these days. But this is another one of the breweries who I've never tried anything from. So for this one we're going to do my first ever review from Left-Handed Giant Brewing Company, and this one is their BFG. So this is an 8.3% double IPA and it's hopped with Citra, Mosaic and Simcoe, and it should be a really quite interesting beer. This brewery have got quite a good reputation. Apparently they were voted the 14th best brewery in the UK, which, when considering how many there are now, that's a pretty good achievement. And like I said, Bristol is a city that has a really good beer reputation these days, so it's always cool to try different breweries from there, because you know you're going to get something of good quality, because they basically have to be, because of all the competition that's down there. But yeah, it should be a really interesting beer, this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future, hopefully from Left-Handed Giant. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and check out beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Left-Handed Giant then. So as I mentioned to you, Left-Handed Giant are based in Bristol, and they were founded by Bruce Gray. But Bruce has been quite active in the beer scene for a number of years now. He actually started out as a junior pro golfer and then moved into management in the golf clubs, and it was there that he learned the licensed trade. So he moved to Edinburgh in 2009 and worked for a period of time managing bars before relocating to Aberdeen to open and manage the original Brewdog bar. So he was involved in opening about 7 other bars or so for Brewdog, but he left the company after 2 years to found a craft beer wholesaler based down in Edinburgh, and he was also involved in setting up the Hanging Bat bar as well, along with 2 other guys. So after a year he sold his shares in both companies and then relocated to Bristol and founded 3 companies there. So one of these was Left-Handed Giant Brewing. He also started up Big Beer Distribution, which is another craft beer wholesaler, and also Small Bar, which is actually rated as one of the best craft beer venues in the UK, and they've since opened up a second bar over in Cardiff, which is also doing really well. But at the moment the Left-Handed Giant Brewery are operating in the St Phillips area of Bristol, but they are working to open up their own brewery. And they've actually just bought a site that's 4,000 square feet in Bristol city centre. So this will be a brewery, bar and restaurant, and the brewery apparently will be operating a 15 BBL kit. Apparently this was the first time they'd actually bought their own brewing equipment, but they also hope to be able to develop sour beers there in the future. But from what I gather, they are doing very well. I think it was maybe 2013 or so, 2012 that these guys were founded. They have been on the go for a little while already, but they seem to be doing really well, and their beers do seem to be pretty highly rated as well. So if you get the chance, have a go at them. Like I say, Bristol's a really good beer city. You've got Wiper and True, you've got all of these kind of different, you've got all of these different breweries down there as well. Wiper and True, Moor Beer, who was the other one that I reviewed recently? There's loads of them in Bristol. So if you get the chance to go and visit England, Bristol's definitely one of the places you want to have a look at if you're interested in craft beer, and these guys are obviously one of the kind of newcomers to that. They've got a core range of about 5 or 6 different beers, but that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn more, check out the website in the description below and have a look at their Facebook and things like that, and you can keep up to date with them. So yeah, there you can see, there's the BFG on the can there, obviously named I think after the Roald Dahl book. Of course, in gaming speak, BFG also means big fucking gun, which is I quite like. But yeah, you can see nice artwork on this one, and the artwork on all of these beers that you get from Left-Handed Giant is pretty similar actually, so do keep an eye out for that. They've got a nice red beer that hopefully I can try for you at some point as well. But without further ado then, let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting. Nicely presented, so I might try and see if I can take the sticker off this one, but let's get it out and get on with the tasting then. So yeah, nice little bit of smoky opening there, and we'll get it out into the glass. Oh, I'm wondering if this, just from the colour of it, I'm wondering if this might be a sort of West Coast double IPA. I was thinking it would, with it being in the can and being in the 440ml can, of course, which is the American pint, if I'm remembering correctly. I was thinking this might actually be a New England IPA, but it does look as if it might be more of a kind of West Coast double IPA. But yeah, as you can see, it's poured a nice kind of coppery, blood orangey colour there. There's a solid finger and a half of a frothy head on this one. I would say it's kind of creamy, very, very slightly beige. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. If I put my fingers behind the glass, I can see there is a little bit of transparency to that beer, but at the same time, it is quite hazy. But it looks really nice. It pretty much looks exactly as you would expect. As I say, I think it's a West Coast IPA rather than a New England one. But it doesn't matter particularly what the style is, as long as it tastes good. That's my main kind of barometer when it comes to reviewing beer on the channel for you. But it looks really nice. You can smell some of the nice fruity notes off it already. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Yeah, I think, going by the aroma, I think this is going to be a West Coast double IPA. And it is nice that breweries are still doing that, because you know there's a huge focus on these New England IPAs recently. But yeah, with this one, it definitely mangoes. You can pick up the citra right away. The passion fruit from the Simcoe's coming out as well. And it's got a nice orangey note. I mean, the tangerines from the Mosaic, as I always say, Mosaic gives you a slightly lighter kind of tangerine orange compared to the Amarillo. The Amarillo will give you that nice big oily note. This one to me has, it's the citra and the Simcoe are dominating a little bit, but you can get some of that nicer orange as well. There's a little bit of a kind of lychee note coming out from the citra in this as well, but a nice little bit of a kind of floral grassy note as well, but it leans more towards the juicy fruity side of things in terms of the hops. But when you sugar it up a little bit, you can get some of that bready and slightly caramelly malt base that you expect of a kind of West Coast double IPA. There's maybe a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy note to the beer as well, but it does smell pretty nice actually. It smells pretty much like a classic West Coast double IPA, to be honest with you. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in. Like I say, this one has a nice malty backbone to it, some floral notes, but the juicy fruity hops are kind of singing through on this one. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer. So this is the BFG from Left Handed Giant down in Bristol in the southwest of England. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that's a pretty nice one. I have to say, I do like that. The malt base in this one's quite interesting. It's not quite as sweet as I was expecting from the aroma. Yeah. It's quite interesting, this one, because it does have a little bit of that kind of English malty quality to it, which is interesting. I was expecting it to have a little bit more of a kind of caramelly sort of sweetness, but the malt base in this one, it's kind of bready. It just blankets the middle of your tongue there. You can feel there's a little bit of a grainy quality on top of that. And it's, as I say, the thing with the English malt is that you always get just a little bit of that kind of grainy quality coming out of it, and you can really feel that pushing its way out in this beer. If you just go right down the middle, the centre of your tongue, just right down the middle line of it, there's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there. But yeah, I like how all that kind of goes together. The malt base on this one is really quite nice. It's interesting to see a sort of West Coast IPA of that nice English malt base, because it really, on the hoppy side of things, it really does lean towards the American side of things. But it's a nicely done beer, this. That's the thing you're going to notice about this. It is really quite nicely done. So as I always say, sugar it around your palate a little bit and let your whole mouth adjust to it, because that's the unique point about this beer, definitely is the malt base. And it's got a nice oily mouthfeel to it as well, which really suits it. So yeah, with this one, nice little bit of earthy hoppy character in the back corners of the palate. As you come further forward, you can feel that nice floral bitter quality there. It's almost a little bit spicy, and then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and grassy. And there are some fruity characters, as I say, just behind the very front curve of the tongue there. So yeah, really nice beer, this one. The fruity qualities in this one are quite interesting as well. You can feel that malt base, that slightly grainier malt base, just kind of pushing its way out as well, and it mixes in quite well with the passion fruit. I think the passion fruit from the Simcoe is just kind of forming the base, the sort of linchpin of this sort of, how do you say that, the kind of fruity part of the beer. On top of that, there's a little bit of mango. You can get the tangerine notes as well, which is interesting. And then as you go further into the aftertaste, you can get a little bit of the kind of lychee and the almost gooseberry notes. There's maybe a wee bit of pineapple in there as well, but that's very minimal for me. It's more the lychees and gooseberries that are starting to come out of this beer later on. But I do like how everything kind of goes together in this. It is nicely done. It's a beer that's quite easy on the palate, if that makes sense. The malt base makes it quite unique, and it's got that nice big American kind of hoppy bitterness. In my eyes, it's definitely a West Coast double IPA, this one, and it is quite nice to get one of these, you know, when there's such a big focus on the New England IPAs these days. It is nice to come across a good West Coast double IPA. So a big thumbs up to Left-Handed Giant for this one. They've definitely done a nice job of it. It's got some of these kind of classic American hops as well, though Mosaic is still a bit of a newer hop in comparison to Simcoe and Citra, right enough. But it's a nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. It's a very straight up double IPA. Like I say though, the malt base is what makes it a little bit unique. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say this beer is it's probably mid-bodied. Carbonation's quite smooth. It's got a good oily mouthfeel to it. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness. This one, it's not going to blow your head off in terms of IBUs, right enough. Good little bit of juicy fruit just behind the front curve of the palate. It's got a little bit of that darker flavour from the passion fruit, which is nice, and then it becomes a little bit more juicy as the flavour mellows out. And the malt base is interesting, this one, because it's mainly quite smooth, but there is, pardon me, a little bit of sweeter quality in there as well, which is nice. But yeah, as I say, it's a good beer, and it's nice to come across a brewery that are capable these days of doing a nice West Coast double IPA. I'm a bit worried that might become a bit of a forgotten style, but with these guys, they've certainly got a nice example of it. I really hope I can try their red beer at some point in the future. Their Hopped Up Red, I think it was called. Because based on this one, I think the malt base that this one has, I think, would work really quite well in one of these kind of nice red IPAs. So hopefully I can get a hold of that for you at some point and review it, because this was really pretty nice. So yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of summarise this beer. It's a really well done West Coast IPA, and like I say, it's cool to see that breweries are still having a go at this, because I think the New England style is sort of taking a bit more prominence these days over the West Coast style, so it is cool to see that there are still breweries having a go at this. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. I've really quite enjoyed this one. It's always, as I say, it's interesting to go back to the West Coast IPA after a while. But thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer. Let me know your favourite beers from Left-Handed Giant as well. Do let me know some of the other Bristol breweries that I should check out. I think I need to do a few more reviews from Wiper and True at some point for you. But this has been really cool to review for you. And as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this beer. The BFG, really cracking West Coast IPA, or double IPA rather, from Left-Handed Giant down in Bristol. Have a go at it if you can, and do check out some of the other beers as well. Slanger just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.